good morning. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm in at Coromandel town, which is a small town nestled inside the Coromandel region. And last night I just booked myself tickets to do the Driving Creek Railway Tour, which is going to be pretty fun anyway. But I'm quite early at the moment, like my tour, the trip starts at 9:45 and it's currently nearly 9 o'clock. The drive on the way up, you just never know, like it's quite treacherous when you're sort of driving it because it's really narrow. So I thought, adding another half an hour wouldn't hurt. So yeah, should be a good day. There was a bit of rain on the way up, but it's all cleared away. Looks like the sun's shining through. So should be a good day. Looking forward to it actually, because I've never done this rail trail anyway. So I've heard so much about it. So should be pretty good. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy the tour. See you soon.
Grandmother, I do have eyes in the back of my head, so I will be watching to make sure you all behave yourselves for me. But for your safety, I do have first aid kits and fire extinguishers on board, as well as radio communication with the two other trains that'll be up on the track at the same time as we are, as well as the ladies here at the base. No smoking or vaping anywhere on the property. When I pull out the station, everything inside on the right hand side is all these old kilns and buildings come close, so that's the first time for you to behave yourselves for me. Now also, most importantly, have your cameras ready the entire time. It should be absolutely beautiful up there today. This is my first trip up the hill today. There you go.
And my hotel was literally one block from the group office. And it said, we'll send you a car.
So, hello again everybody, and welcome aboard the Snake for your journey today. Now thankfully this is the only snake we have here in New Zealand. Woo woo! And then coming up here on the right, that's a little possum train. That's the only possum I like here in New Zealand. And then now the big train we'll see up on the tracks, that is the Lynx train. Now all the trains we operate were designed by Barry Brickell himself and built by a team of engineers in this workshop we are about to pass through here now. Now at the back here of the workshop you'll go past the little diesel mount train there. You'll see photos of the diesel mount train in action as we head up the track today. Now the two big trains, they are both powered by a 60 horsepower diesel Perkins tractor engine. Whereas a little possum train here only has a 35 horsepower diesel engine. So yeah, you've got slightly more personality, shall we say. Now firstly, who the heck was Barry Brickell, the man responsible for everything you will see around you today? First and foremost, Barry was a potter, but he was also a sculptor, a writer, a conservationist, an engineer. He was a lover of trains, and some would say he was a bit of a hippie. Now he originally got this railway in for the sole purpose of collecting terracotta clay and firewood for the pottery. So the train tracks really only needed to go 300 metres to the terracotta clay pit. But they now go 2.5 kilometres instead. So just sit back, relax, take it all in, and I'll give you some commentary along the way today. And this is bridge number 1 out of 10 in total along today's journey, all at different stages. right hand side. On the right, I'm passing this terracotta clay pit. There, that's really as far as the train needed to go there on the right hand side. And if you look down the hill here on the left, you can see the track we have just been on down below. Barry Brickell, he purchased 60 acres of land in 1973 and straight away he started putting his train tracks around the property. Now back in those early years he had many willing helpers on spades and shovels to help him dig this lower section of the railway out by hand, and as you can imagine it must have been pretty hot thirsty work. Now here we are at reversing point number 1, which Barry called Ravington. You can see there it says 1982, so whenever you see a year like that, you'll be able to see how Barry took his trains up the hill in stages, because that indicates the year the railway made it to that point. Now Barry put on many legendary thank you parties to everybody for their help. Many of the parties were held here, so hence the name Ravington. Okay, this is your first exercise. Taking his trains up the hill, he surveyed his land, his piece of land. So he designed a series of spirals and zigzags to get his trains up the hill. We have completed the lower spiral. We're now halfway through the first zigzag. Now something else to think about as we make our way up the hill today, that all these tracks were originally laid by Barry. So the 2.5 kilometres of track you're going to go on today, as well as all the random tracks that you'll see around the place, were all originally laid by Barry himself. Yet Barry will no one now survey the land or lay the original tracks. Now coming up here on the train's left hand side, we're about to go past photos of Barry hauling timber using the little diesel mount train, because remember Barry originally put the railway in to collect materials for the pottery. Never ever was it meant to carry paying passengers. So that little diesel mount train is the one that you saw down in the workshop. And now when we complete this next section here, we would have completed the first zigzag. So as we go up here, if you want to look down the hill on the left, not only will you see that first platform up a tree there, that's all part of the zip line, but you'll also see the 2 pieces of track down the hill we have just been on. So by doing that very simple zigzag, we have gained close to 10 metres of height in that very small area. A very efficient way of doing that. Now over the years, potters, sculptors, glass blowers from all over New Zealand and the world came to stay here with Barry. One of those is a lovely lady called Helen Mason, who was one of New Zealand's pioneering potters. Coming up here on the train's right-hand side up the hill, we're about to go past 3 of Helen's sculptures, which signify the different stages of womanhood. So here we go up the hill. So on the left there's promise, in the middle there's nurture, and on the right there's wisdom. Now Helen loves potting. She potted up until the very end. When she passed in 2014, she was aged 99 and 4 months young. So she almost got that letter from the Queen, just not quite. Okay, we're now about to go through tunnel number 1, so everything inside for me, please. Then tunnel number 2, this one is modelled on the local coal mining shaft. So again, everything inside to be pleased as it is very narrow. We're now approaching Barry's very unique engineering structure. It is a double-decker viaduct. So everything inside, please, is the steel's going to come very close to either end as we go around each corner. Now this structure, it took 2 years to build. All of the earthwork was done by hand and all of the steel came from the Coromandel pottery factory in Auckland when that closed down. This just went from one pottery to another, which I think is very apt. Now all these bricks here on the train right hand side were all made by Barry and his friends down at the station and really helped Barry pay for the railway back in the early days, as you find Barry's bricks all over the place as they sold them in Coromandel town as well as over in Auckland. Now as Barry never had a lot of money, it means he was really good at using whatever resources he had around him. Great example of that. This is the first of many recycled retaining walls you'll go through today. Apparently it's a lot like making a lasagna, building one of those walls. Now here we are at Crown Flat, the site of an old gold diggers camp in the 1870s, and now this is where the zip liners start their journey. Approaching the upper level of the viaduct, so look down there on the right, you can see where we've just been. Everything inside, please sir, can you put your arm in, thank you.
Sorry.
And we have just completed the upper spiral to get here. Now stretched across the valley there on the right, you can see the zip wire. It was funny, they were testing that out when they had a giant teddy bear called Zippy hanging on there for a couple of days, so I was quite jealous of Zippy. Now here on the right is your first glimpse of the Hauraki Gulf there. And here we are now at Hokimai. Hokimai was Barry's favourite place to come after a long hard day to relax and unwind and have red wine and cheese. Hokimai in the Māori language means keep on returning, so I think that's a perfect name for your favourite spot, don't you?
Yep.
Now this is the halfway point and this is the only place where the two big trains can pass each other. Here's the Lynx train coming down the hill.
Oh, we've got to carry on all day like that.
Hooray!
So as I said, this is the halfway point and the only place where the two big trains can pass each other. So we've got a very simple but effective safety system there. You might have seen Howard handing me that red disc. You cannot carry on up the hill until you have the red disc on your train. So when we come back down, I'll give it back to Howard because he'll be going up again. Here on the right, lots of weird and wonderful things. A very confused snail and a very confused dinosaur there on the right, as they both have two heads. Seriously, which way would you go every morning when you get out of bed if you've got two heads? About Barry and his friends thinking there's a bit of an issue because of all of these empty wine bottles. So you don't have to worry a lot with this regeneration of many parties. That is true, and Barry did enjoy a bowl of red wine. But when Barry wanted to build another bottle retaining wall, he put an ad in the local paper, and the locals would drop the empty bottles off on his back doorstep. Those are the days before bottle recycling collection, so he was very, well, the locals were very happy to do that. virtually no bush left on this land. There was just little pockets of regenerating bush. So first of all, they had cut down the big native trees in the mid-1800s for their timber, and then the gold miners, then the farmers cut the rest of the bush down. Now Barry was very passionate about New Zealand's unique flora and fauna, so he left the land alone to keep on regenerating naturally, but he planted close to 35,000 native trees over the years to give it a helping hand, with 10,000 of those trees being Kauri trees. So all those early trees he planted are really helping this land regenerate naturally now, and it's looking beautiful, isn't it? So thank you, Barry. Now here we are at Cascade. This is reversing point number 3. You can see there it says 1994. So yep, it took Barry 12 years to get from Ravington to this point. On the hill there, and you will see how quickly we gain height. It's because some parts of this next section here have a gradient of 1 in 14. Now 1 in 14 is very, very steep for any train to get up. In fact, every other railway here in New Zealand that has a gradient of 1 in 14 or steeper also has a steeper track or some other way of helping them to get up the hill. We're not here at Driving Creek, so that's why I like to say we're the steepest little railway here in New Zealand. So we are now approaching reversing point number 4, which Barry called Horopito, which is the name of one of our native plants, also known as the mountain pepper tree. Now when Barry was still with us, but he wasn't driving a train, quite often Barry could be found sitting in front of a little shed here on the train's left-hand side behind a very potter's wheel that's there making a pot. In fact, on the left-hand side here, there are photos of Barry doing just that. So when the train would arrive here, Barry'd make the driver a cup of tea and then show everybody how to make a cup. Okay, so we're now about to go through tunnel number 3. So everything aside for me, please. And have a look at all these weird and wonderful things on the wall on the left as we go into the tunnel. These are all gifts to Barry from people that came from all over the world.
Wow.
I think I can, I think I can, I know I can, I know I Okay, now I like to say kia ora to the gentleman there on the left. Okay, now we're going to make a quick stop here. Now I know the view's beautiful, but trust me, the view just keeps on getting better and better. This is your only chance to have a look at the beautiful tunnel entrance. So when I come to a stop, can you all please remain seated until I come and open the doors for you? And mind your heads as you exit the train. Then come down and see me at the tunnel, where I'll tell you a bit about Barry.
Who helped Barry build the railway and the pottery, which incidentally had its 50th anniversary back at the beginning of November. So all these spaces in the wall here are old members of staff. Apart from that dude down there around the back with his sunglasses, that's Russell. He still drives the train. Now this, I might be driving the lunchtime today actually, I'm not sure. Now this wall here is also dedicated to one of New Zealand's first ever gold rushes, which was in these hills in the 1860s. In fact, these hills are full of old gold mines, and there's a hill I drive over every day up here called Tokatea. More gold was taken out of there than anywhere else in New Zealand at the time. It's just not easy gold. It wasn't alluvial gold. It's buried deep, deep inside these hills amongst veins of quartz and amethyst. There's actually a great little museum on the way back in town on the right. You can learn about the early gold mining history. And you'll see photos that I do actually find quite shocking that show all of these hills all the way along here, completely bare, no bush left on them whatsoever, and pock marked with old gold mines and roads. Now you will also see Coromandel's first jail, because yes, wherever gold miners, you needed a jail pretty quickly, right? Always fighting over that gold stuff they were finding. Now this wall here also depicts this instrument, which is absolutely instrumental, see what I did there, in allowing you to build a railway out here in this environment. In fact, you couldn't do it. Now, the train tracks are cold steel, right? You need to bend the train tracks around corners so the train can go around corners. You do not have Superman on retainer to bend that cold steel for you, so you need to use one of these. Now it has the unfortunate name of a Jim Crow, but how it works, see that bottom bit there that hooks underneath the train track? You put a metal rod through the top there, which they called the crowbar. Hence how the crowbar got its name for use with the Jim Crow. You put the crowbar through the top there and you twist. No, so that's how one man or one woman out here on the side of the hill can bend cold steel just using your muscle. And like you, I was like, ooh, I found that really, really hard to believe, so I asked if I could have a go. And they said I'd be really surprised how easy it actually is. But I only work here part-time now, so I was never blooming here to have a go. Until about 5 weeks ago, when I got to have a go. And let's say it was easier than I thought it was going to be. I still wouldn't want to do it all day, every day. But it's very satisfying, I can tell you. And on the way back down, if I remember, I'll show you a Jim Crow. I will also show you a beautiful little piece of track. Got a beautiful little curve in it. I did that. I'm very proud of that little piece of track. Now, as I mentioned, Barry would let no one else survey this land. He'd let no one else lay these original tracks. Now, there is a few reasons for that, but the main reason was he was paying for everything, and he never had a lot of money. So if you're paying for something and you don't have a lot of money, you really don't want mistakes to be made, do you, right? But at least if you make those mistakes, you just yell at yourself. You don't need to yell at anyone else. And I'll show you a pretty big mistake Barry made on the way back down. So I've got a feeling he was yelling at himself quite a lot those days after he discovered what he'd done down there. Now, Barry also was so busy having to make pots, bricks, sculptures to sell, so he could afford to pay for the railway as well as eat, as well as being out here surveying the land, laying the tracks, back at the station, making more stuff to sell. Oh, why not? He also wrote a couple of books, because people always said to him, you really need to write your story down, Barry. So yeah, instead of one, he wrote 2 books about it. Now, Barry also loved being surrounded by like-minded people, those artists that came to stay with him from all over the world. He did love that. He loved the sharing of ideas, but he was actually very quiet, a very insular man. And because he was so busy, surrounded by lots of people, I think he actually needed to be out here by himself a lot of the time just to get his alone time. You know, I perfectly understand that. Coming across as fairly gregarious, right? It so happens I've been working in tours for about 30 odd years now, so I've got used to it. But let's say when I get home, my partner knows it's quiet for the first half an hour at least, or gives me a glass of wine, or both, you know. Both is a good combination actually. So, but Barry, as I said, many, many long days. Now, eventually he had to start asking for donations to help him out. You know, and those donations did help. Buying materials for the railway, buying seedlings to plant on the land. Oh, yeah, as I say, you meet all sorts of weird and wonderful and not so wonderful people working in this industry. So they finally realised that so many people had literally been coming along for the free ride and donating nothing to Barry and his railway. Wow. So by 1990, the bank very strongly suggested to Barry he become a proper passenger railway and start charging everyone. So from 1990 onwards, he did have that financial help. And as his photos here show, he could afford to hire a digger. Up until 1990, it had been spades and shovels that had dug the railway out by hand. So you can imagine how much quicker it was once he had one of them. Put it this way, he laid his first tracks down in what is now the car park in 1974. He laid his last tracks up the top where we're heading in the year 2000. So it was 26 years he was surveying and laying these tracks. Wow. Now Barry also, I personally think another main reason why he liked to be out here by himself a lot, so he wasn't always, but he was a lot, was that he loved to work au naturel, shall we say. So he was out here by himself, he could be as naked as what he liked and it wouldn't worry anyway. But there are still stories of trains coming up the hill and the passengers seeing a white streak go diving into the bushes or running up through the tunnels. How funny would it to be on a train going past the entranceway, look up and see a white bottom run up the train track? It would be hilarious, wouldn't it? But, no, I mean, Barry, to be fair, it's probably quite a tan for most of the time. But if you were to ask Barry, why do you do that, Barry? He would say, well, come on, it's hot work building a railway, just take your clothes off, it's a lot cooler. So he'd say it's for practical reasons. Okay, Barry. Righty, I need to jump back on board the train now for me.
When you want to take the friend, you actually got the one with you in it.
Are you there?
Now here on the train's left-hand side, we're going past a whole lot of young Kauri trees that Barry planted. So as you'll see, the Kauri tree has very straight trunks. There's one main reason for that. You'll notice there's dead branches on the ground as well as on the trees themselves. As the Kauri tree are grown towards the canopy, their lower branches naturally die and then they fall off. So that's what makes their trunk so straight. Kauri trees also shed their own bark. So by shedding their own bark, that stops parasitic plants like rata climbing up them and strangling them. And in times of stress, Kauri trees also have the ability to pop out extra leaves directly from their trunks. So those extra leaves directly from their trunks allow them to gather more water and to photosynthesize more. Because if you were to leave a Kauri tree alone to grow, it could grow and become the world's second biggest tree mass-wise. So it's not the world's second tallest, but the world's second biggest and heaviest. Okay, everybody, get your cameras ready. Coming up here on the train's left is your first big expansive views of the Hauraki Gulf. Well, I hope so. I haven't seen it myself this morning yet. What are we going to get today here on the left? Oh, there we go. So the big long island you can see in the background there, that is mainly Waiheke Island and orphans behind Waiheke. In the middle there, in the far, far distance, you can see the Waitakere Ranges over in West Auckland, Coromandel Harbour in the middle, Kunua Ranges in the background there, Coromandel Town at the back on the left. And we're now approaching reversing point number 5, which Barry called Rima, as that's number 5 in the Māori language. Now those of you sitting directly behind me, if you're scared of heights, as I pull out onto this platform, I recommend you either look straight ahead to the left or close your eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Up to the Eyeful Tower. We'll be up here for just under 10 minutes. When you hear the bell, please come back down to the train in the same seat. Now you've all been changing directions of the train. But if I could ask you to look above your head, you will see that number. That'll give you an idea of where you are sitting. So remember that number above your head. Now once we get up to the top of the tower here, you can access the top by taking a scenic ramp that goes all the way around the outside of the building, or you can go straight up the stairs through the middle, which is the pathway to the top.
Oh, yeah.
Now when we left the brainchild down below there, we were 55 metres above sea level. When we come to a stop up here, we'll be 173 metres above sea level. That's a rise of 118 metres. And the trip up the hill just then. So as I said, when you hear the bell, please come back down to the train and remember that number above your head. That'll give you an idea of where you were sitting, but you've all been changing directions with the train, so you know what you're doing. Now, once again, when we come to a stop, can you all please remain seated till I come and open the doors for you? And mind your heads as you exit the train. Just take it from me and the lady last Tuesday, it seriously hurts if you hit your head as the roof is made of steel. So once again, when we come to a stop, just make your way straight up to the top there. You can take the scenic route around the outside of the building, up the ramp, or you can go straight up the stairs through the middle.
Carry on up to the top there, guys.
Then you carry our back.
Railway, you can see.
Yeah. My grandparents.
There you go everyone, I hope you enjoyed your little visit up to the Eiffel Tower. It certainly is an Eyeful.
I haven't heard that. Most of it is so much more. But you ignore that,
Now all the way along today's journey, it's a fantastic place to see New Zealand silver fern or conga. Down here on the left hand side you can see it but really glowing in the morning sunshine there. Now New Zealand actually has 27 different types of tree fern in total. Some pretty certain it's more than any other country in the world, but only one of our tree ferns has that bright white silver underside. So only one is the silver fern, and the silver fern is only found here in New Zealand, so that's why it's become our national emblem. So as I mentioned, Barry left instructions behind for his final train ride. There was no way Barry was going to miss out on that. So he said, please put me in a very plain wooden box with terracotta clay from the property and there with me. Put me on the back of my favourite train, the elephant train, and take me up to the Eiffel Tower for one last time. Have a few chairs to me up the top there, then take me back down to Hokimai, his favourite spot, have red wine and cheese. He's going to be doing that forever now because after 2 years of cutting through red tape, Barry was finally allowed to be buried down there. Highly unusual here in New Zealand, but I think because he's put the Kiwi covenant onto this land, so he's not going to be disturbed, and he was a bit of a legend by the time he died, so they allowed him to do that. So when the authority came through, Barry carved himself a wooden cross, and on that cross he carved Barry's bouquet, and he stuck the cross. I'd like to say kia ora, because without that one man, none of us would be here today. He obviously, as I mentioned, had a lot of help from a lot of different people with a lot of different skill sets. But Barry was the man who put all those people and skills together to make this wonderful place a reality. So kia ora, Barry. Breathe, so everything inside for me, please. As we go into the mouth of the Green Man. Now Barry wanted his tunnel to look a bit like a white barrel, so I think he's achieved his aim. Now, as I mentioned, especially back in the early days, Barry never had a lot of money, so that means he was really good at hunting down and finding bargains. Now, he wanted to use narrow gauge track on the property. A lot of the coal mines around the Waikato region used narrow gauge track, and they were starting to close down. So Barry went around those coal mines and said, look, do you have a plan for your train tracks? If they didn't, he'd say, okay, maybe I can give you some beer for them then, please. So that's how he got some of his train tracks responsive for beer. Now he brought the tracks back here and enjoyed them all together using crisp plates. Crisp plates allow things to expand and contract, and they help create the wonderful clickety clack sound. Now unfortunately, This area is called Driving Creek, and it's called that for a reason. So, back in the day when they started cutting down our big native trees of very steep-sided valleys, like this one here on the train's left-hand side, they had to figure out a way of getting all the logs to the bottom of the valley for processing. So what they used to do, they would dam the creek halfway up a valley like this one. Once the dam was full of both water and the trees that they'd cut down, they would then trip or release the dam, and the water would drive all of the logs down to the bottom. So hence the term Driving Creek. Recently been extended to over 500 tracks around the property of different varieties that were introduced here into New Zealand from Australia for the fur trade. The humans arrived here in New Zealand only approximately 1,000 years ago. The only mammals we had were bats. So here on the left you can see this native plant here. It has broad flat green leaves with a white underside. A lot of the leaves have folds all the way along here on the left. Broad flat green leaves with a white underside. A lot of the leaves have folds. Now that plant is called a rangiora. It is soft, it is dry, handy for you to know about. In fact, it was this way 2 months later. She was really happy that I had. Down at Hokimai, Barry's favourite place, and Melton's final resting place, where the Lynx train will be waiting for us to come down to the... Yeah, there's some stairs there going up just at the end of the bottle wall there. Follow those. There guys, if you want to go around the corner here, if you want to look up the hill. Kia ora Barry, thank you Barry. So he is buried up the hill there on the right. One of my favourite sections here, actually going over the top of this beautiful tree ferns. Totally different perspective as you're normally underneath them. And at this time of the year you can still see some of the new growth. So in the centre of that one out there in the middle, you can see the new fern fronds still starting to come out. When they first start unfurling, they are called korus, and they signify new beginnings and new life. The biggest comment I get from overseas visitors is they expect to see dinosaurs sticking their heads up out of our tree ferns. They were around at the time of the dinosaurs, so you never know. About to go through tunnel number 2. You know what to do. About the closest I'll get to being a wiggle. Now here on the left down below here, nestled amongst the sea of grass instead of water, you can see two of Barry's terracotta taniwha. Now taniwha in Māori mythology are water creatures that act like kaitiaki or guardians. That's why Barry put them here in the middle of the railway to guard the railway. Look down there on the left hand side, you'll see the tail there of a taniwha that just dived back underneath the water again. Okay, we're now about to go through tunnel number 1, everything inside. This is your last chance to be a train. Excellent. So fun being a train, isn't it? When you own some on board. Now if you want to look down the hill there on the right, you may catch a glimpse of Ravington down below there, Ravington Station. That's where we're going to be very shortly. Okay. And we're now approaching reversing point number 2, which Barry called Chipmans. And we're now pulling back. Yeah, congratulations everyone, you've just completed your workout in my training gym. Do you get it, my training gym? Oh, such a bad dad joke. And I love dad jokes. Now just sit back and relax and enjoy the wonderful clickety clack on the final section back down to the station. I do hope you have enjoyed your time in my beautiful office today, and as Barry and others would say, hopefully that was like poetry and locomotion for you. The last of the bad dad jokes, don't panic, it's all over. Okay, now here on the train's left hand side, leaning up in this old carnica tree, is what I like to call the world's longest handled spade. I have no idea if it is or not, but look how ridiculously long the handle is on that spade there. Now they made that spade for when they were building the zip line so they could reach to the bottom of the big pole. Now Barry also erected a predator-proof fence which is developed into a little wetland sanctuary that you can wander around at your own leisure. There's an enclosure down in there that has some of New Zealand's endangered geckos to see if you can spot them amongst the bushes. We also have a little 5-10 minute nature walk with information boards along the way which ends at an old gold mine. Now you can access both of those walks by going down the steps. You'll find in between a little red train and the end of the zip line. So if you look down the hill there on the left, you can see the wide information board down below there. So yep, that's the end of the nature walk. So we're going over the top of the old gold mine now. And we are now pulling back into the station again. So for one last time when we come to a stop, can you please remain seated until I come and open the doors for you? And mind your heads as you exit the train. And thank you so much once again for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here in the beautiful Coromandel.
Thank you. Mind your heads, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So there you have it, guys, the rail tour done and dusted. I thought the whole experience was fantastic. Right from the start, I think as soon as I came in and checked in for my ticket, you can kind of get a really good vibe about the place. You know, it was people were very friendly, they were helpful, they stopped and talked to you, and it just made the whole experience really worthwhile. But overall, I thought that was very good. I mean, for $52, I mean, man, I don't have the words to explain how great that is. I mean, for $52, you get to explore a lot of things on that rail trip. So, very worthwhile, and I'll probably do it again. So, yeah. Some of my favourite parts, probably the views, the history, as we sort of zigzagging along the way on the trail. Also, I think the tour guide was awesome. Her energy and her charisma, just to make this whole experience truly amazing. Her inside knowledge on how all things were done back in the past, that was awesome too. And you can just hear the passion in her voice, just sort of explaining everything. I thought that was really awesome. Another awesome thing too is some of the viewpoints. Oh man, it just blew me away, eh? Like there was, I think it was the fourth stop where you got to over. I can't remember anyway. Was it the fourth stop as we were coming up? Yeah, it might be. You overlooked the Hauraki Gulf, and you could see parts of Auckland, Coromandel town, stuff like that. I thought that was excellent. Also, the Eiffel Tower, I thought the views from there was like, oh my god, unbelievable. Just, and you get that for $52, just seeing all these amazing views that you probably won't get to see unless you sort of pay on the rail trip. But man, I highly recommend it. If you're thinking of doing that trip, you should do it, eh? I think good value for money, I think. And the other good thing about it too is that the money that actually goes back into that place there in terms of maintenance and stuff like that. So yeah, oh man, I'll probably do it again. Like I said, I'll probably do it again and bring someone else so they can enjoy the experience as well. But the only downside is getting to Coromandel town. I mean, if you know, you know. I mean, that road leading up to Coromandel town can be quite treacherous. You know, it's quite narrow. So just take your time before you get there. I just I urge you to do that. But anyway, that's my review. I highly recommend that you do it. I think it's a really good thing. And yeah, I think this was worthwhile, the trip. Anyway, tomorrow I've got another planned trip. I'm going to do the rail cruise in Rotorua. So it's a self-guided rail tour. It's and I get to control the cart myself, where I can see parts of Rotorua, which will be pretty awesome, I think. So I've never done it before, but hey, it's the long weekend, so I'm lucky to get tickets for that particular thing. But anyway, see you at the next video, and thank you for watching. Cheers.